So today we are going to build a basic Spring Boot application in which we will try to develop a simple REST controller which will have a get mapping, a post mapping, and if type permits we'll try to analyze different types of get request and post request and how we can catch the user inputs in those requests. Okay, so let's get started, and before that I want to tell that for coding I'm going to use Intellij IDE, and for verifying all the requests I'm going to use postman. So for alternate of postman you can use soap UI, fiddler, and many more, but as of now this is what I'm using. Right, so let's get started. Our Spring Boot is nothing but a basic Spring application. So for that, I'll go to my file, and the prerequisites for this is you should have a JDK and Maven installed on your system. Alright. Now we'll create a new project. My bad. Cancel file, new project, and that will be a Maven project. And here you should check if you are having the latest JDK. So there are many features in 1.9 and 1. Plus, but as of now the basic thing that many of the developers are using is 1.8 because of its compatibility with the backward features and the features in the 1.8 plus. So as of now we are using 1.8 JDK. Okay, so the name we can use is basic Spring app. Finish. Right. New window. So if you see, there are some processing happening at the bottom in blue color. So I'm doing import changes just to make sure that every time we import new change, so I can tell you, okay, we are doing import instead of having the enable auto import changes. Import changes. Let it happen. So before developing, let me tell you the basic structure of this, uh, the code that we get by default. So the basic Spring app is our application name, and this idea folder is a project specific folder, or we can say IDE specific files we have there. So the source is where our actual coding will start. Apart from basic coding, there are some properties configuration that we supply from the application from the outside. Now that is out of scope of this video. So let's concentrate on whatever code we are going to write, that we are going to write in source main Java. Okay, and this pom.xml is any library that we are going to use, like import x dot y dot thing, so that dependency will have in the pom.xml. So if you can see, by default we'll get this content in the pom.xml. That is, if we generate a jar after our coding is completed, that will be generated with this name. So for the project that we are going to develop as of now, we need a parent dependency, that is a Spring dependency. For that I'm going to add this thing, and this you can get import changes. This you can get directly from Google, because like every time we get the new update, so I'm not sharing it, but I'll make sure in description I add a GitHub link of the code. And then after adding parent dependencies, because this is a Maven project, we need to have a plugin for Maven. Now what that plugin will do, it will make sure the task which is meant for this framework, like building doing a build which creates a jar for us, and while creating a jar it will execute all our test cases, and whatever task is required for jar, like whatever we are mentioning as a pre-task, like generating a report using a surefire. So there are n number of such things which we ask from the framework to do, so that will be taken care by Maven plugin. So this is import changes because it got this dependency content, and now we will add our Maven plugin. Let me get that. So I'll add all this code on GitHub. Okay, so this is my Maven plugin, and then I'm importing changes, and now we'll have a tag called dependencies. So as of now I didn't went into coding. It's basically adding whatever is required before we start to develop a Spring Boot. Enable auto import. Okay, let's do that. And in this we are going to, in the dependencies tag, we are going to add one by one dependency of whatever we need. So basically we need a server called Tomcat and a starter pack to create a simple REST controller. So those dependencies I'm adding here, and Control Alt L will align it. And yeah, so that's it for our dependencies part. Let's start with the coding part. So we are given with the folder Java. In this, we'll create a package, new package. Okay, so how packages are meant, it's like the parent package, then the child module 1, child module 2, and so on. So just for understanding, we'll have this as P module, like a parent module, just for understanding sake. Then we'll have a new one more package inside it that we will call as child module 1. Okay, now when we are writing a class which is having a public static void, when we'll make sure that that function is accessible by all. So we'll keep it outside of the child modules. So we'll create a class, a new Java class, and we'll name it as main class. That's fine. Yeah. So we want to have this in the parent module. So we will, yeah, not the child module, parent module refactor. So in the parent module we have a child module and a class called main. In this we are going to write our main function, public static void main string args. Anyway, spelling doesn't matter, but we'll follow. Then to tell that it is a Spring Boot application, we are going to add an annotation over here, that is at the rate Spring Boot application. So what this annotation is meant for, so that we are not going to cover in this, but we are going to have a separate video which will cover all the basic annotations, and we'll ask Spring Boot application dot run of, what is our class name? It is main. So whatever name it is, just add that main dot class. So that's it. We are done with the creation of our, no, this is not Spring Boot, this is Spring application. Yeah. So this is the library that we want to enter. So to get that into our class, with simple shortcut is Alt Enter. Okay. Now Control Alt L to align. It is align. Now we'll start this. To to start this, we can simply click on the play button. If you can see, we don't have anything in the add configuration, so we can add that, and after adding that we'll have a green button so that we can start our application from there. But for now I'm starting from here, run main. Just hover on the green arrow and we'll get the option of running. It is loading. Okay, now if we see, we didn't give any specific port on which the application should run, so there are, it is going to use the default properties. It is saying no active profiles. What is the profiles and all? We will discuss that in detail later on. So as of now, default port is 80. This Tomcat, this got application got it from the dependency, and it got, yeah. So it is executed. So we are good. So that was the basic Spring. Now we are going to create a REST controller. Let's already 9 minutes passed, right? So we'll add that in the next video, right? So for creating, if you have any query or if you find any difficulty in finding any dependencies or URL or ID issues, you can ping me. You can see this is not yet stopped because we already instructed our main class. This is a Spring Boot application, so don't stop until and unless externally we stop it. Okay, so To stop, we'll simply stop on this. Yeah, now it is highlighted, so we stop the application. So in the next video, we'll try to create a REST controller in the same application. So far, for creating Spring Boot application, if you have any query, you can write down in the comment section. Thank you.